They say pilots are trained to read signals even before that turbulence. Sachin Chhabra here wanted to become one, but instead of choosing passengers, he chose brands, guiding them through those takeoffs, turbulence, and that smooth landing. Whether it was Airtel in the 2000s, DLF in the early Gurgaon story, Amway's wellness pivot, Adani's integration challenges, or making sneakers a cultural moment at Relaxo, Sachin made his career out of timing the wave. Today, let's deep dive into how he has landed impact across these industries. Welcome Sachin to our podcast today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I want to really ask you, आपको पता कैसे चलता है? आपको पता कैसे चलता है कि कौन सी industry is going to take off at the moment? You were at the right time when you joined Airtel in 2000, where we had 5 million mobile users, to then it turning to 500 million mobile users in 2010.
Right.
Then with sneaker industry, again you did it. It had $3.17 billion industry today,
yes,
to now it becoming $4.67 billion industry in the next 4-5 years.
Yes.
How do you get to know these signals?
See, I'll be honest with you. This is never a signal which comes to my head and said, okay, suddenly a bulb has kind of enlightened my head and let's do this. No, it's never happened that way. It's just that I've been extremely lucky to be at the right place at the right time. When I joined Airtel, it was by accident. I just met a few people and they said, okay, fair enough. Please join us. So, aa gaya, career start ho raha tha, and that's how it started. Was lucky enough to be there, part of the launch stage. Then real estate was booming in Gurgaon. DLF was setting it up. Just by chance, I got a call from DLF, entered DLF. Then
redefined the skyline for
I don't know whether I redefined, but I was a very small player in the scheme of things because it was early days of my career. But yes, when I look back today, maybe you're right, I was at the right space at the right time.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah. But I've been a very small player in those early days. But yes, it's just been by accident only. It's never planned. I'll be very honest on that.
Riding these waves at the time of trend and growth comes with its own set of challenges.
Yes,
would love to hear some stories from you during the launch days that you went through.
See, there were different kind of challenges that we were facing. So when I was with Airtel, those early days, telecom was just about starting to move in India. A lot of people were not even aware what a mobile phone is, to be honest. And when you're sitting somewhere and you have a company phone given to you and people don't even know whether a mobile phone kind of a technology is, and suddenly the phone rings. And when you pick it up, you're suddenly being treated like an alien. What the hell is this guy carrying? And suddenly the mobile or whatever the device is buzzing. So yeah, it was a very interesting kind of a thing. But the challenge was obviously early days because mobile was very expensive. The challenge, the country was not obviously as kind of at an economic growth pattern like what we are today seeing. Yes, there were challenges financially for people to adopt. Real estate, everything was booming. Gurgaon was coming up. Back in the day, Gurgaon was not what we see today. It was very difficult for people like sitting in DLF to sell, okay, you have to go down south of Delhi, at least 10 kilometers inside Haryana to please invest in properties. And those were the days. Companies were not in DLF. Companies were never in Gurgaon. They were always scattered around Connaught Place of Delhi. Telling the companies, okay, we are coming up with these kind of projects, please invest. So yes, those were the challenges in those early days. And those were the days when the country was obviously evolving, the consumers were evolving, and we were dealing with that kind of a change. Like when you said earlier, how did I kind of know that this is happening? Honestly, I'm coming back to the question, no, I never knew. It was just that we were going with the flow and things were just happening by God's grace. And we were a part of scheme of things.
Talking about takeoffs in various industries,
Yeah.
You must have seen a lot of turbulence in various industries which are different from each other.
Yes.
Right? I would love to hear some of these turbulences and how you, ultimately solved them for a smooth landing.
See, I think turbulence may not be the right word. I think it's how the ecosystem has transitioned from one phase to another. Today, marketing is very different from what it used to be. Like 10 years back or maybe even 15 years back. Today we are living in an age where everything has to happen with a click of a button.
Share to scroll to click.
Absolutely. We are seeing so many digital first companies coming into play in so many sectors. It's a startup kind of an environment that we are living in. Everybody wants to have a startup of their own. Courtesy artificial intelligence, there's another disruption which is happening. A lot of people are becoming entrepreneurs in the startup space. So I would not treat it as a turbulence. I would see it's kind of a transition of how things have evolved. And what we are seeing right now was also evident like a couple of years back also, when the consumer choices were kind of moving to a different thing altogether. People were getting more money in their hands and they wanted to kind of get into so many things. Aspirational products became a necessity. There was a time when people said, okay, iske paas Apple hai, wow, and it became an aspirational thing. Now every second, third person is carrying an Apple, but at the same time, it's still an aspirational product. So things have apparently moved into a certain direction with the evolution.
So how do you, talking about this dynamic change of consumer habits at the same time, where 65% of Gen Zs are going to be the next consumers.
Yes.
The major consumer pattern erupting from tier 2 and tier 3 towns. At that point of time, how do you make one brand narrative that stays relevant for both value-driven Bharat as at the same time, Gen Zs which want to buy check at all times?
It's not something that you can plan for long. That, okay, this is something which I want the narrative to be for tier 2 or tier 3. Because to be honest, how we have been seeing things is that gone are the days when tier 3 audiences were tier 3 audiences. And the way I'm saying this is from a definition perspective. Today, the aspirations of a tier 3 audience or a tier 2 audience is almost at par with what a metro's consumer is. If you go to any tier 2 town or tier 3 town, then their choices are almost similar. And
paying capacity.
The paying capacity,
Access.
Let's take an example. Let's go to Varanasi or Banaras or whatever the name is, or you go to Gwalior or go to Indore. They're all tier 2 towns, not tier 3 but tier 2. The kind of transition these consumers have seen in these cities, and the kind of aspirations, the kind of choices, the kind of lifestyle that these people are living in these towns is nowhere less than a metro or a semi-metro or a mini metro, is whatever we want to call it as. They're the same consumers. They have the same choice. You have malls everywhere. They have access to all the major brands. Couple of weeks back, I was in Banaras, and I was surprised to see everybody is wearing USPA, Nike, and everything. So I think the line between a tier 2 metro, mini metro is basically getting blurred. Yes, there is a certain set of audiences which are still kind of in the original definition, but the line is getting blurred by the day because of so much of an extent of metro culture into these cities. And trust me when I say this and how I am seeing this, and I may be wrong also, but today we are sitting in September 2025. September 2026, this line would have blurred even more.
Yeah.
And that's how the things are changing. And that's how the consumer choices are changing, how their behavior is changing.
So in this fast evolving landscape, it's very easy to say that one wants to pivot, right? But is it how do you kind of convince leadership and the management of legacy brands like Amway and Relaxo to actually make that pivot?
What I've also seen being part of the ecosystem is that even the leadership, even the promoters now are accepting that, okay, the consumers are changing. And when we do have these kind of conversations, when we do have access to all those consumer reports, And when we do an analysis and check on these consumer insights, it surely is an eye opener for them also, because for the last so many odd years they've been kind of running the show in a particular pattern, and now things have to change. So they are now being very open in terms of accepting that digital is the way forward. My audiences are on digital. Be it any category per se, I'm not even talking about a consumer durable or a consumer goods kind of a thing. We take any category today. So they are basically accepting the fact. Properties are getting sold digitally, and who would have imagined, a 20 crore or a 15 crore kind of a flat is getting sold online.
Yeah.
And we have kind of grown up in that era, जहाँ पर हम लोग जाके देखते हैं, okay, this is the east facing, this is north facing, the kitchen is so small, the kitchen is so big, the washrooms are such of size. Digital has changed everything, and that's how the evolution has happened. And I think even in these legacy organizations where the promoters have been involved, they are also adapting it. And I think it's a very healthy change which is happening, because the companies who have this kind of a mindset will surely kind of move in the right direction with the changing times. But yes, the process is a bit slow, but I think it's happening right now.
Talking about the last legacy brand, Relaxo, where you were managing 15,000 SKU portfolio. It's a fate to remain relevant, keep selling, and ensure profitability, which is the main bottom line.
Absolutely.
And what is the main key metric that everyone is looking at. So we would love to hear some, how did you manage the entire show? What kind of blueprint or roadmap did you have in mind to ensure that you remain part of the team?
So, see, Relaxo has been there for 4 decades now. We all have grown up with the brand. I still remember in our childhood we used to wear Relaxo slippers, and the company has apparently evolved from just a slipper to somebody who's into fashion footwear, sports shoes, fashion wear, all sorts of kind of footwear. And I think one of the reasons why things have apparently been on the right track for Relaxo is, like I said earlier, they have always listened to consumers. When I came in a couple of years back, 2 years back, yes, even the consumers were going through a change. Sneakers as a category was growing, and we thought, okay, let's focus on building how the sneaker as a category should be, because if I am talking to somebody who's a college going kid, or even maybe in a 10th or 11th or a 12th standard, that particular kid is now so much having an exposure to what he really wants to wear to either college or maybe between his fans, that he's very familiar and very clear that I want to wear this and I don't want to wear that. And that's been the core key of our strategy also, that if we really have to move with the times and the consumer being the center of it, it's high time that we should move into that space. And we used a lot of artificial intelligence. We went into quick researches and everything to get the right product out at the right price, because we also understood that my consumer is playing in a certain set of price bracket also, and so we have to be relevant in the price segment. But at the same time, footwear is something that people only pick up for trial once it appeals to their eyes. So what kind of design the footwear is going to be, whether it's going to be looking well with the attire that I'm going to be wearing, forget about the attire, where it's going to be looking good on my feet also. So a lot of artificial intelligence was used, a lot of consumer researches were used, a lot of insights went into development of a particular portfolio. Now, yes, we're talking about a 15,000 portfolio of an SKUs, but yes, that's across the organization, because there are 4 major brands that are kind of having a spectrum of from the lowest price point to a higher price point. But sneakers is something that we really wanted to be relevant to the audiences. So we created that. And luckily for us, because we had that kind of a proper research and a de-risk kind of a strategy. It's worked well for us. Now we are in a stage where even evolving our product portfolio, because we know that it's been a couple of months and the designs are apparently also changing. So yeah, we're going ahead with how things have been changing with the consumers also. And that's been a core strategy. And as we move forward, I'm sure we're going to be having so many more things to offer to the consumers that we're going to be targeting.
You have marketed and sold products right from 10 rupees product to 20 crore property. So how does marketing actually shift from selling everyday essential to a product you might buy, say, twice in your lifetime?
See, again, every category has a different consumer. Every consumer who is in that space has a certain kind of a mindset, has a different kind of a behavior. Now, let's take a 15 to a 20 crore property per se. The moment I do a certain kind of a segmentation of my audiences, I am already left with that much size of an audience that I have to cater to. And the moment I get into much more nuanced understanding of that consumer, I know what is the language that he's going to be understanding. So, for example, let's take Lodha or maybe even a DLF today. We are seeing properties being sold at around staggering 65-70 crores in DLF only.
Even now to 150 to 200
Absolutely.
crores.
You look at Camellias, you look at Magnolias, and there's so many other things which are coming. Now, those kind of properties are basically catering to a very different segment of audiences. They have their own taste, they have their own lifestyle, they have their own expectations. Now, if somebody who has a ticket size of around 15 crores and is willing to invest that money, he is obviously expecting a certain kind of amenity. It should be accessible to golf course. It should be having all those amenities like a world-class gym, swimming pools, spas, blah blah blah, and you name that, and the list is never ending. So when you are basically talking to that kind of an audience, then you know what is the kind of value you need to deliver. And when we deliver that kind of offering to a consumer, automatically my perspective changes as a marketer. Vis-a-vis the moment I am kind of moving to a different category altogether, which is into fashion or maybe even a 10 rupee product, my audience is very different. I can't be selling a similar kind of a product or a different kind of a product to same audience. So as my category changes, my consumer changes, buying behavior changes, segmentation changes, and that's how we keep on iterating our strategies as we move forward. Again, it is always revolving around the product we're selling. Who are we targeting? How we are targeting? In marketing language, we say we define where to play and how to play. So we define where to play, with whom we are playing, and then we say, okay, how do we play? That's how it is.
Talking about identifying your target audience, it's very difficult and to pinpoint that this is the right audience to which I want to sell my product.
Yeah.
Because product differentiation can also open up new arenas or new segment of audience that you can sell to.
Yes.
So how do you as a brand identify that this is the only audience I want to sell to, or what should be the strategy to identify the right audience for your product or brand?
See, again, if we are operating in a certain category per se, then we are, at any point of time, we are kind of looking at white spaces. Any category that any company today is playing, there are always white spaces around. So, for example, like, a Dettol today is selling their hand wash in a certain kind of a price point. There is always going to be a white space around. And we've seen those white spaces evolve. Like, for example, we keep on looking for white spaces around, and FMCG, everybody keeps on doing it. Dettol is something that comes to my mind. If I just go beyond the category that I'm currently operating in, we've always seen Dettol in a certain set of color that they've been kind of pushing their hand wash. But then there was a time, when somebody else in the similar category said, okay, no, I have identified a white space. Let me give you another hand wash with some kind of an orange color, and it comes with a different fragrance, and it's going to be giving a lot of fragrance to your hands after washing. And that is something which was created. And there have been so many other spaces. Take Nestle's Maggie as an example. we've all grown up eating one kind of a Maggie. Today you have a oats Maggie, atta Maggie, this Maggie, that Maggie. Nobody thought that they would really wanted to get that. So, but Nestle said, okay, no, I have identified because people are getting health conscious by the day, and so let me just get into atta Maggie because I don't want people to move out of the Maggie space. The question on the table would be, how and when are you identifying that white space, and how fast are you moving? Because the person who moves first is obviously always the winner, and the rest of the people in the category, they're always in the catch-up game. And but at the same time, we have seen a lot of companies who have been a category leader and they've moved into the spaces, but they have gone down because suddenly, a competition kind of came up from it and said, okay, fair enough. Thank you so much for giving me that white space. And sorry, you're out of the game. Colgate, toothpaste. We have seen how a toothpaste has evolved. Today, you find toothpaste for zillion reasons. Red toothpaste, black toothpaste, ye wala toothpaste. Hum to Colgate mein, we were all growing up with Colgate White. So the point on the table is that
we never used to say.
We never used to. Exactly. The only thing I think while we were growing up was that okay, close-up came, and which was a different red color toothpaste and everything. So everybody got fascinated.
With that freshness.
So everybody got fascinated that let's try it. But that was something which close-up kind of identified and got into it. So every category today is
like Perfora now have completely changed the category.
Absolutely.
So how does the brand today remain, relevant, and how does it, create a strategy that makes them stay relevant in say 2028 or 2030?
See, we're sitting in 2025, 2028, 2030 is a long way to go. Trust me when I say this. There was a time when companies used to say, okay, this is my 5-year strategy, 7-year strategy, and this is how I want the brand to be there. Trust me when I say this. That strategy has been thrown out of window in a lot of companies. A lot of brands are now not even looking at a 5-year window. Because things are changing so very fast around us. Everybody is saying, okay, let's make a 2-year window. And that is something every brand is today working towards. Whether I will be relevant enough after a 2-year period also is a big question mark. Because if I don't change with how the consumers are changing, for all you know, forget about 5 years, down the line 1 year, you will be out of business. And that's a harsh reality of how things are changing very fast around us. So a lot of companies are moving into a 2-year domain, max 3 if you really want to take it as, but not beyond that. And the only way they are basically going to be staying relevant is, like I've been saying throughout, is stay focused on consumers, focus on a lot of insights that the consumers are going to be throwing at you. Because those are the insights which you can use to market your products to the consumers. And if you are not talking the language of your consumers, and if you're not being relevant in their daily life, those brands will for sure be going out of business very soon. Consumer is the center stage, the insights are the center stage, and be on top of it.
In the era of hyper personalization,
we have to be there. Otherwise, things will change and you will still be sitting in an old era. And while things are changing, the consumers, like I said, are becoming very intelligent. Their choices are, changing so very fast. You will not be in the scheme of things. If you're not in the scheme of things, trust you me, the brands will be facing a very tough time.
Interesting insight. So joining any organization at a leadership position,
yes,
the first 90 days are the days where all eyes are on you. And in that era, while you are learning how to navigate the ecosystem of that company, you are understanding the deeper insights of data as well as the customer of that particular brand. What product is moving in the market actually, what is not moving, what is what needs to be shelved. So amongst all this, what blueprint would you create for a CMO in the first 90 days?
See, I think this is a very interesting question. Normally, how it happens is that yes, every CMO, every head of marketing has a 90-day plan to be charted out. Again, you need to identify the challenges that are existing. You cannot create a change without even understanding what the problem is currently, or even if things are going right, you can't anticipate the kind of challenges that you're going to be facing in the next 30 odd days. So it is all dependent upon that. I'll give you an example. If any person joins an organization wherein digital has taken a backseat, automatically for the first 90 days, and considering your audience is living on digital, automatically your first objective becomes, I have to set up a digital team, because that's how the things are going to be moving. And we have, as a CMO, it's my responsibility that I set it up. I start making it functional. I start making it relevant, so that at least that part is taken care of, along with obviously the overall marketing strategies that you're going to be working around. But again, like I said, it's all dependent upon the kind of challenges that are existing at any point of time. Every company has their own set of challenges at any point of time, and they want you to kind of focus on that, along with whatever you have a vision in terms of how you really want to play it out.
Any checklist you would like to share with our audience today?
Say, I've been saying it throughout. One checklist is consumer insights, segmentation, their buying behaviors, challenges that your consumer is facing, triggers for purchase, barriers to purchase, why a consumer is buying your product and why a consumer is not buying your product. It becomes very important to understand, so that you can evolve your strategies around it. It is absolutely essential. I mean, it goes without saying. And if you kind of ignore this kind of a checklist, you are in a different tangent altogether. Not today, but for tomorrow for sure.
True. So, as a CMO, amongst all these three major levers of communication, creative, and media, which lever do you think holds the most power to change the course of a brand's success?
You see, you can't single out anything today, because all these elements work hand in hand. You can't say, okay, I will focus only on one and let it do its job. It will never happen. It's a teamwork of all these things. So for me, and how I see this is, I can't say, okay, I will pick one out of the three, or maybe two out of the three, and then let's move it. It will never happen that way. It may give you short-term benefits, but if you're looking at building a brand for a long term, I think everything has to move hand in hand. Yes, you need to have a strategy to deploy it in the right way, at the right time, at the right place. And that's how it's going to be working. Even if you have these three things or four things that you are having are going to be part of strategy, and you deploy it at different times and without any synchronization, it's again going to be falling flat. But again, all these things are important and you can't single it out.
Do you believe in an integrated agency handling all these three aspects, or do you feel each segment needs to have its own experts?
See, I'll be honest with you on this part, is that every agency today is having their own strengths, and marketers are basically looking at the solutions which any agency today brings, whether it can solve the problems of the business or not. And if an agency today comes with an integrated thought process and say, okay, I will do this, and this will solve A, B, and C, and if it's relevant to my business, I will go with an integrated approach. But if I see that, okay, yes, these thought processes are relevant enough, but I'm also getting one thought process from an independent agency, which is even a boutique agency, as a matter of fact. And I said, this is going to be adding an additional value to me, or maybe a very different value, which can take the brand to the next level. I will not even blink an eye in kind of getting that independent agency on board. It is always about, what that agency or that kind of a division is going to be doing for my business. Today, there are so many outfits. Today, you have entities like a WPP Pro, or even a Publicis, or maybe even a Havas Media. They have everything in-house. So you say creative is there, media is there, digital is there, performance is there, everything is there. Marketers like me pick and choose and say, okay, yes, Rupan, yes, publicist. I will pick this because this is working for me very well. But for digital, say for example, as a matter of fact, I'm going to be working with an ex agency who's going to be, taking things forward for me because I feel they are having that kind of a thought process, which will help my business to grow. So there is no written rule that I want to have an integrated agency, but yes, I'm pretty much open to having all the right partners which can help me in taking the narrative forward.
Very interesting. So while choosing, an agency, what are the major parameters or what are the checklist that you look at?
See, again, you have creative agencies, you have media agencies, you have digital agencies, you have performance marketing agencies, you have social media agencies, you have ORM agencies, and I can go on and on and on. There are corporate communications, PR, you name a facet and there is an agency for it. If, say for example, let's take creative as an example, okay? And because creative is utmost important for any company today, because they are going to be defining the brand strategy for you, and they're going to be creating a communication for you, which is going to be relevant to your audience. I think a couple of things which basically come into play is whether they understand my business today or not, whether they understand the challenges of my business, whether they understand how the category is going to be evolving today, or maybe down the line 6 months or even a year. Are they having a thought process in terms of how my business should be moving with those kind of changes? What is going to be my strategy, a brand strategy for the next 1 odd year or 2 odd years? Even in the audiences that I have to kind of speak to, what are the various layers of segments that I have? And do I have a strategy for those different segments or also not? Now, those are the parameters and there's a zillion more. So when we kind of look at them and said, okay, these are the things that we are kind of having a conversation with you and you're checking most of them. And obviously, once you come on board, we expect you to kind of take it forward. It's a good enough indication for us to move ahead with a certain kind of an agency. Similarly for media, similarly for digital, ORM, PR and everything.
Grabbing your attention on the aspect of setting key metrics with such a partner agency becomes very, very important, as you were mentioning a few hours back.
Yeah.
So these key metrics, a lot of agencies shy away from accepting it or defining it themselves.
Yes.
So how do you, as a CMO, suggest what are the right key metrics that should be defined and how it should be, monitored over time to ensure that the goal ultimately is reached with the right metrics?
See, I think with so much competition around, I think every agency is gunning for businesses, and we respect that. We understand the kind of environmental challenges anybody is around, and I'll say from my perspective, being on the other side of the table, is that when we are sitting at an evaluation table and we are saying, okay, and the only reason why I'm having this conversation with you is because I want you to come and solve a problem for me. And that's the only reason why I'm having this conversation, because the problem is there, and you are an expert, you're a subject matter expert. Please come and help us grow. Now, if an agency comes in and says, okay, yes, we understand your challenges. And we say, okay, fair enough, good. And what is the thought process? And I say, okay, we are creating a chart for you for the next, say, 12 months. And in the next 12 months, this is what we are going to be achieving. Divided into various kind of time intervals. Okay, down the line, 3 months, this is going to be happening. 6 months, this is going to be happening. 9 months, this is going to be happening. And we're going to be reviewing it. I will always have your attention, because in my head, you are talking the language which I really want to know, whether you are on the same wavelength as I am on or not. So if you are talking that, then you have my attention, and I'm more than happy to kind of take things forward with you.
So this brings us to the last segment of our podcast today, which is a trend check. There are a lot of buzzwords going around in the marketing space. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are a lot of these buzzwords going around in the marketing space. You have to help us identify which are hits and which is just a hype.
Okay. That's interesting.
So the first question for you, there are a lot of brands, sliding into our DMs through, say, Instagram DMs or WhatsApp. So is it some smart shortcut or is it an annoying spam?
If done rightly, then it's a hit. If it's going just randomly, then it's a hit.
Which reminds me of this interesting case study with IKEA, how it slid into the DMs at 2 to 3 a.m. in the night.
Yes.
And reminded people, if you're still reading this message,
yes,
it means
that's exactly what I'm saying. So if done with the right context and strategy, it's a hit.
Great. Every brand is now jumping onto this wagon of green, which is. Do you think this is authentic or just a green cover up?
Sustainability you're referring to? I think in the long run it's going to be a hit because times have changed. A lot of people are getting very conscious about sustainability and sustainable products. It's very interesting to know that it's no longer a phenomena for around 40 plus year olds. Today you see a lot of excitement in the youth. They're focusing on sustainable products, and the way things are moving, and if done with the right way, I think it's gonna be a hit.
Trying these clothes, makeup, or shoes virtually, do you think this is a must-have for a brand or a passing trend?
Sorry?
Trying clothes
virtual try-on.
Virtual try-ons for clothes, for shoes, for makeup. Do you think this is a must-have or a passing trend?
See, in the fashion, in the cosmetic stage, I think it helps the brands because it helps in taking decisions. And the reason, again, it's a hit in a way because, the consideration set today in any category. Let's take the cosmetics as a category since you've asked that question. There's so many products in the consideration set. So today, if you want to have a certain shade of like a nail polish or a lipstick, I'm sorry, I don't have much knowledge about those women products, but I'm just kind of thinking. And if it really, you really want to see that, okay, what shade works on me and what shade doesn't work on me, rather than, going to a mall and, checking it out and when time is of the essence, if that helps you in identifying whether this is looking good on me, this is not looking good on me. You're basically becoming an enabler in kind of a decision-making process from a brand perspective and say, okay, this brand then works for me because this shade works for me. And this shade basically comes from a particular brand. And consumers today don't want to waste time. It's a quick commerce world that we are living, and they will immediately go for it.
Oh, definitely. It looks like a catalyst to the growth of sales.
Yes, absolutely.
So in the era of chatbots, WhatsApp, and instant replies, do you think it's a future of customer care, or do you still feel it's very robotic?
I think it's still, getting evolved. It's still a bit robotic. I think with the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, things are getting much more better. Because, if I just go back a couple of years, there were a few questions which are fed in the bot, and by understanding, okay, the consumers is going to be asking these questions only. So there were questions and there were answers. While consumer says, no, I don't have these questions. I have a separate question which you're not even asking me. Give me the flexibility to ask. And that's where the role of artificial intelligence has come into play. And I think things are evolving. And it should evolve in a much better way. But as of today, I think it's still developing.
So one of our customers has interestingly implemented this AI integration where every call you make to their customer care is attended by an virtual assistant itself.
Yeah.
However, you don't even recognize whether it's an AI assistant
Absolutely.
because the voice is so natural. They react to your question in the similar tonality, same aspect that you have asked in.
Yes.
So they're able to personalize the answers, the voice to the customer itself.
Absolutely.
Which is
Absolutely. It's an amazing thing which is happening all around us. Even in the news segments, I was watching the other day, and there was an anchor which was not a real person; it was AI generated, and that girl artificially created is kind of giving you the news, and that's how things are evolving.
Times are changing.
Times are
and
changing.
So do we have to with it?
Absolutely.
What beautiful insights that definitely prove you don't need wings to fly. You just need the timing, vision, and the courage to take off.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. It's been a wonderful day, wonderful session. It was great having a chat with you. Thank you so much.
Until then, keep your brand soaring high. Subscribe for more such insightful playbooks from top leaders.